Morning and welcome to this week's segment of the Fiz Show. My name is Cedric Chuuma and I will be your host today. Today I'm joined by a very special guest, Grey Jabesi. Grey, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. So, would like to know for our viewers out there, who is Grey? How would you describe yourself?
I am just a young African person. My name is Grey Jabesi. I was born in Malawi, and the second part of my life, I grew up in South Africa. And my story basically to this point is that Bitcoin changed my life completely, right? The point that I was earning, I come from an extremely impoverished background, poor family, just like most young Africans, especially in this region. Without any, I couldn't even afford higher education. And somehow I found the internet, learned a couple of skills on my own, and then Bitcoin supercharged my potential to the point that I was able to escape the poverty line and create a good level of wealth, and then started building companies. And yeah, now I am the founder of Crypto University and Kodo Exchange and a few other things.
Oh, that's an amazing story.
Yeah.
You said Bitcoin changed your life.
Yeah.
Could you walk us through the story of Bitcoin? How did it start? And what was the point it changed your life?
Yeah, so I have a documentary about this on YouTube where people can actually see, because I documented most of it. So when I was 17 years old, obviously I accepted the fact that my parents could not afford to put me in college and all that kind of stuff. So I taught myself some skills, how to edit videos, how to write code, all the things that people do, they learn on their own on the internet. But I couldn't get a job because in Africa, as you may know, our economy is highly based on paper education, right? You need to show that I have this degree and all that, and then you get a job. So I couldn't get the normal employment. And then also, when I go online to look for jobs, which I was really good at what I was doing, then I would find people to give me a project online, and then I discovered that, oh, these guys, they want to hire me, and then I would complete a job. When it's time to pay, they couldn't pay because they asked me for PayPal. And at the time, PayPal didn't function when I was in South Africa. It probably doesn't even work right now in most countries in Africa. So I had no means to getting paid, and I would tell these guys about Western Union. So imagine someone wanted to pay me $20, but the amount of effort they have to put in to send me that $20 was so immense that it wasn't worth it for them. And the fees also would be probably more than $20 itself, right? To use like Western Union or something. So it just became that nobody was interested until I discovered Bitcoin on Reddit. It was Bill Gates was having an AMA and people were asking him about it. That was the first time I came across it. And then at a later stage when someone else offered me to pay me in Bitcoin after the work, I was like, oh, I know what Bitcoin is. And then I started earning Bitcoin like that. So at the time with one Bitcoin, I could buy a pair of shoes, let's say, right? And now Bitcoin I can buy a house with one Bitcoin. So you can imagine, I had the opportunity to now plug into the best performing asset class in the world for the last 10 years. A poor kid from Africa had access to that. This is the equivalent, even more, the equivalent of having access to purchasing Amazon stock back in the 1990s, which a lot of Africans to this day have no access to those kind of markets, right? But Bitcoin is available to someone like me or anyone else outside in the streets. So that is how Bitcoin changed my life.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think in your documentary on YouTube, I've watched it by the way, amazing story. You talked of how you kept on earning Bitcoin and keep it until such a point when Bitcoin showed up, you realized you're now a millionaire.
Yeah.
What was your thought process when you realized that? What did you think of Bitcoin and basically what was that moment like for you?
So, growing up in Africa, you always feel that in some ways you're oppressed, but you don't really know what the enemy is. So for me, when I was 17, I went to the bank to open a bank account, and they couldn't allow me to open one because they say that, well, you don't have formal income source. You don't have a job or pay slip for you to open a bank account. You can't even open a student account because you're not a student of any formal institution. But at the time, I was working, hustling on my own, like doing some freelance gigs, earning a little bit of money, but they still couldn't allow it, because I was working at people's gardens, cutting grass or whatever in South Africa, right? So like I couldn't get an account for that. So when I figured out Bitcoin, I was like, this is a crazy thing that there is a form of money. It's money at the same time, it's a method of sending money. Someone else can pay me and I can also just keep it and nobody even knows how much money I have. Nobody's in control or whatever. Because there was a time also later on where a bank froze my account, right? So I had these kind of experiences where I developed a little bit of a disdain for institutional banks and these systems because, as most Africans know, they feel oppressed by these systems. So Bitcoin just became my safe home where I was like, okay, this is the only thing that I have control of myself. And then I wasn't selling the Bitcoins because back then it was very difficult to even now for a lot of people, they know that Bitcoin, if you don't have enough knowledge, it feels like it's so difficult to convert it into real cash. So I would just keep the Bitcoin. And then the more I was working, I was learning more about Bitcoin. Then I was like, wow, this is such a powerful innovation. It didn't make sense for me to sell the Bitcoins. I wanted to keep my Bitcoins. And then what happened later on, the price shot up. And then I realized that I'm not poor anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been quite the discovery.
Yeah, exactly.
So I like that you talked about earning Bitcoin, and that shows you that Bitcoin has some characteristics of actual fiat money that most people use.
Yes.
What are some of the differences from the money that most people use now and Bitcoin, and how do you integrate both economies?
Okay, so it's most important to understand that if you're trying to build wealth, if you're trying to get rich, if you're trying to make money, you're trying to escape poverty, the way you have to do it is that if you're working today, whatever the sweat you're putting in has to be worth more tomorrow. So it's almost like if you plant a seed of maize today, surely in the next few months you're supposed to eat. So you plant one seed, then when the maize cob is ready, it basically has so many grains on it, right? That's how it should work. That's how an economy, a healthy economy should work. But the way it works right now is that you plant a seed, and then years later, you harvest half of the seed or less. That's how the normal fiat ecosystem works because money is always being devalued. So our grandparents could tell us that back in the day, they could buy a bicycle with like 5 kwacha or something, right? Yeah. But now you cannot do that anymore. Bitcoin is the opposite of that. Because of how it's designed, it gains power over time, purchasing power over time. So you have one Bitcoin was $1 in 2010. One Bitcoin today is worth $28,000. You see? So now when it comes to saving money, a lot of people saving, they think of saving as something as a tool for protecting the future. You're saving so that you can have a better future. But then what kind of future are you going to have when your savings are getting less value over time? Yeah. So Bitcoin is a better savings, at least for me. It's because I'm saving in Bitcoin over time. I can project that my investment is going to be larger. So it's very important to start earning and saving your money in Bitcoin instead of the fiat currencies.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. You mentioned that you founded Crypto University.
Yeah.
Was that the first way you started earning Bitcoin?
No, so I started earning Bitcoin by offering my services online. I couldn't use the traditional Upwork or Fiverr or all that kind of stuff. So I could go on Reddit and all Bitcoin websites, put my service out, and then people would hire me. There are also these people who are like super into Bitcoin. They could only pay someone with Bitcoin. So I would do these jobs, manage people's websites, write a little bit of code and all that kind of stuff, and they would pay me. Then I would have several clients that I supplied the work to. And Crypto University was founded, I started the project in 2018 because I felt like, look, I know this thing is so powerful. Then I look around me, nobody else seemed to even know that it exists. So it felt like I was hiding some kind of a secret, right? And I was looking for friends around me and other people who would be excited about the same thing, or at least others who can learn and benefit. Because to this day, we have people who are They don't know that Bitcoin exists, and they've been brainwashed by the media that it's a scam. But they don't realize that it's the key that they need to basically unlock the next chapter of their life, because it is the passport to the global economy. Our currencies are designed in a way that they only work within our countries. But if you want to accumulate wealth or make more money, you have to expand and grow to other countries. You can look at this when wealth is basically, there's a pure correlation between wealth and expansion. Look at the colonizers. They would leave a little island called United Kingdom, and go and conquer other worlds and start planting farms over there. And they made the country so rich. The UK has no gold, no natural resources, but it's one of the wealthiest countries in the world. Why? They don't operate at a local level. So for you, if you're in Africa here, you have to do the same. But how can you do it now? You don't have to get on a plane and go to the US. You can set up a business here online. You're a math teacher. You can go online and say, hey, I'm the best math teacher in the world. Let me teach you. Now you can reach people in the US, in the UK, and anywhere, and get paid in Bitcoin. So that is basically the gist of it.
That's very powerful. That's very powerful. So maybe you could tell us more about Crypto University.
Yeah.
What is it about?
Yeah, so Crypto University is more about educating others about cryptocurrency. The biggest problem is you have these technologies moving so fast, it's life-changing. Most people don't know it. How do people learn? They go to traditional schools, traditional universities. How long do these traditional universities take to adjust to new information or technology? So many years. So it means that someone, even 10 years later, a child would go to the university, I can guarantee you this, and not learn anything about Bitcoin. That's the problem, right? Yeah. So I saw an opportunity where I can create a university. You plug in there, within a week you have learned enough about Bitcoin, you can start using it, and the wider cryptocurrency ecosystem and blockchain, and you can supercharge yourself. It doesn't have to take you 4 years to study everything and wait for a degree. It's basically, it's practical learning.
Wow. And
so far we have helped thousands of people, more than 30,000 students around the world, and so many lives have been changed all around the world. The testimonials are out there. Other people have become millionaires, others work full-time in crypto, they have their own crypto businesses, and to me, it's the best work of my life that I've ever done is Crypto University.
Wow, that's amazing. Do people pay for the courses, and do they pay in Bitcoin?
They're different, it depends on what you're looking for. I mean, we have so many articles and videos online for free. I also have the largest crypto YouTube channel in Africa. It's called Crypto Hustle. Oh. It's free content. I go live there every day and share information. And then if you want to learn, there's other courses that you have to pay for, and to also be in a private community of learners. But it's basically nothing. Oh. Nothing compared. It's the same amount of money you spend at dinner. Basically, wow. Right? Yeah, it's not expensive at all, because the goal for us is to just impact. But it was for free at the beginning when I started it, because it was just me. I wrote the website myself and all that stuff, but it started expanding. So many people joining, needed a team to manage it, so we needed to make money as well to make it scale.
Wow, that's very powerful.
Yeah.
So what are some of the use cases for Bitcoin for those out there who are wondering what can use it for?
And also you asked, can you pay in Bitcoin?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, you can pay with Bitcoin and so many other cryptocurrencies. So that is a very good question. So Nigeria is one of our important markets because we have a very active community there. Nigerians are in a very dysfunctional economy, just like many other African countries. They have a limit of about $20 a day on their credit cards, something that you Zambians cannot understand. Yeah. I'm Malawian as well. In Malawi, it's the same. You cannot spend your own money. Like, credit cards for most people or debit cards don't even exist. So if you want to buy something online, you have no way to do it. You want a Netflix subscription? You can't do it because the banks don't have liquidity of US dollars. Forex is a problem. Now, what Nigerians do, they buy crypto and they're able to pay for service. So 85% of our Nigerian students, they pay with cryptocurrency.
Wow.
That is how powerful that is, right? Now, it means that for someone who is in Nigeria, they can now run an e-commerce business and get people to pay in cryptocurrency.
Wow.
Exactly.
That is very, very powerful. So that's one of the use cases. How about locally for a circular economy.
Mm-hmm.
So you spoke in the beginning of how you can use your currency only within the boundaries of your country.
Yes.
Bitcoin allows you to be a global player in the economy.
Yeah.
But what can it do for the locals, for the circular economy, so to say?
So for the circular economy, you can use crypto in general, or Bitcoin. In the nature of Bitcoin is that it's permissionless. So you see all these restrictions that we have in the economy. You want to get a payment rail for your business, like a POS system. Mm-hmm. You need to apply it with the bank. Then they need to give you the machine and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. That is already removed immediately with Bitcoin, because anyone can just wake up today, start a business, say I'm accepting cryptocurrency for this kind of payments. And also it's the speed, right? Bank-to-bank transactions can take time sometimes, and if something goes wrong, you have to call the bank and all these kind of things. That is inefficiency in the economy. You don't want that. Crypto, like Bitcoin, is 24/7. There is no weekends, there's nothing. It operates all the time. So you plug into the ecosystem, your business is supercharged.
Oh, 24-hour economy.
It's a 24/7 economy, which is exactly what people need, especially in emerging economies, right?
Yeah.
And then also, it's very easy to onboard people. So, and if you say you accept Bitcoin as payment method, it means that a customer literally just have to go on the app, download it, immediately they can start transacting. Instead of having to apply for an account or whatever, all these restrictions that we have. So it's a very important tool for an efficient economy, and also giving the power in the hands of the people. Instead of always having to trust the bank, you now have the control.
Yeah.
You don't have to say, I have to close now because the bank is closed. Mm-hmm. You can operate. If you want to run a 24/7 business, you can do it.
Oh.
While reducing the cost also, because banks are very expensive.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
that's very, very powerful. So what impact do you want to see with Crypto University? What do you wish to see for the continent?
What I would like to see is for most, especially young people, to embrace this technology, and the power that it will give them, it will make them understand immediately that they don't have to be the mat for the government, the doormat for the government, where everybody steps on them, they use them for political control and all that kind of stuff because they're needy. Yeah. Right? This is the passport now that if you are active, everyone is online right now, you can make money on your own now. If you learn this technology, there's so many ways to do it. You can create your own NFTs, you can make your own coins and print your own money if you have to. There's so many ways. This is it. This is what we have been waiting for. Right? This is the most democratic form of money or form of currency that we have wanted for a long time.
Wow.
So for Crypto University, we want to reach 1 million people a year in the that is our mission, is to be reaching 1 million people every year, so that we can give this kind of economic opportunity to so many people, especially those who are the unbanked, like in the villages, in the areas where nobody wants to operate.
Oh, and what mindset shifts would you say need to happen? Firstly, in the leaders of the day, as well as in the general population, for us to profitably participate in this new economy?
I think from the leadership perspective, it's very difficult, because the way leadership and politics work is kind of anti-empowerment, right? It's almost like you have to cripple your own people so that you can control them, right? So I think Bitcoin is like the cheat code to this whole system, where you can now directly empower the person without having to go through all these bureaucracies. So I think it's more important to just go straight to the people who need help. Let me give you an example of how charity works. The NGO business is one of the biggest in Africa because it's easily exploited. It has a lot of institutional involvement from the government perspective, to the point that if you're trying to give, let's say you're trying to give $10 to all the people, to people in Chipata, to 1,000 people, right? And you deploy the money that you want to give out, it'll have to go through so many steps of control that the recipient will end up getting 50 cents or less. Wow. Right? That is what happens when you have so much control in a system. Now, the beauty of crypto is that if you want to give this $10 to those people, you can just do it directly. So I think our focus should be on the people who need help, not rich people who are just trying to get more richer, right? So I think automatically, think of it like this: if we spend 10 years empowering the young people to shift their mindsets, to become self-reliant and believe that they can do these things on their own, which they can, that will basically give birth to a new generation of leaders. Instead of trying to convince these leaders that we have to do this and that, because most of them were educated by the UK and basically the Uncle Sams of the world, right?
Yeah.
Which nothing wrong with it, maybe, but like we're trying to aim for a new Africa, a new generation of Africa that is capable and that is not scared of their own power.
No, that's very, very patriotic. I strongly agree with that. And I also want to get your perspective on what you need people to understand about Bitcoin. We have a case of people who are going to Bitcoin to get rich quick, for example. They want to trade Bitcoin. Then we have other people who are saying Bitcoin is a means of exchange. It's a currency.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the most profitable position for someone to take who's looking at Bitcoin and wants to get in?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of people go to the Bitcoin thing to get rich, to make money. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with get rich quick scheme. I mean, not scheme, but there's nothing wrong with wanting to get rich quick. That's what you want. You want to get rich when you're still young, you have the energy, you can be more impactful to society in that way. You don't want to get rich when you're 70, right? You don't want to be like what Warren Buffett says, like, oh, if you save this amount of money every day, by the time you're 60 years old, now you're rich. It's like, well, that's not what you want to do. So there's nothing wrong, but then you have to educate yourself. And the best way to get rich quick is to basically create something that people want. In any market, even in a market that is trade driven like Bitcoin, whatever, the best thing to do is to actually create a service that helps you to earn Bitcoin, because the game is about who has the most Bitcoin. You want to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. So most people who want to get rich quick, their idea is that they want to use the Bitcoin to simply get more dollars to buy a car or something that they want, okay? But that is the wrong way to do it. The game is to accumulate more Bitcoin. So the way to do it is you start offering your service and trying to get paid in Bitcoin. You start saving your money in Bitcoin, and you create a service that people want, and then they would you would charge for that in Bitcoin if you create value. In the long run, you're definitely going to win. It's really that simple.
No.
Right? And for other people who want to do other things, just educate you. If you want to trade perfectly, you can trade. And it's a greatest opportunity, especially in Africa. You can trade Bitcoin in so many different ways. There's arbitrage, there's DeFi now and all that kind of stuff. So if you educate yourself, join Crypto University, learn it, no problem.
No, that's amazing. So how can people access Crypto University?
They go to cryptouniversity.network, then they'll find everything that they need there.
It's available anywhere.
Worldwide, exactly.
Wow,
yeah, and we have a very active community on Discord where they can join the conversation, ask questions. They'll have a lot of experts there to help them answer their questions. And crypto can be this, because it's very new, it can be this very lonely thing where like you're the only one you feel like you're the only one who does it.
Yeah.
So the way we did Crypto University, we created an ecosystem of people where you don't feel like you're alone. You can plug into the Discord. You have other people, thousands in there, that are excited about the same things that you're excited about.
Wow, that's
Exactly.
amazing. You also, I think, mentioned that you are born in Malawi.
Yeah,
Partly raised in South Africa, but I understand now you're based in Dubai.
correct.
What are some of the differences between living in these three localities, and why are you in Dubai now? What are the advantages there?
Okay, so Malawi is where I was born. It's different. It's an incredible country, very nice people. The nature is amazing, good food. But it has its challenges in terms of infrastructure. So South Africa helped me to gain the infrastructure that I needed to basically prosper. Good internet infrastructure, good network, and good industry that's built to support talent.
Yeah.
And then after I lived in South Africa, I realized that as much as I want to for this continent to basically be on the front of acceleration of the adoption of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, that's not what is happening. So Dubai, the UAE, is very open to that. Like, they want the growth of this to happen there. They're attracting all the best talent. Everybody gets a visa, and then so worldwide, from Americans, Germans, Europeans, whoever, are all going there from this industry. So now the majority of people who are very influential in this space are in Dubai. So as an investor also, it's a perfect place to be for deal flow.
Yeah.
And also from a fundraising, like money in Dubai is not so difficult to raise. Whereas if you're in these economies, you know how it goes.
Yeah.
The VC ecosystems are basically just booming, just getting started. In South Africa, the VC industry is okay, but there are certain industries that people prefer over others, especially in developing economies. People are still looking at brick and mortar kind of businesses, right? And Dubai has zero tax as well, and it's safe, and it's like a very good hub geographically, easier to fly everywhere. If you want to go to Europe, you want to go to Africa, you want to go to Asia, it's basically in the middle.
Oh, wow.
So it has a lot of advantages in that sense.
Okay, that's amazing. So before we close, I'd like a word from you for the young Grey out there, the young Grey who's watching. What word would you like to tell him, the one who's inspired by your story?
So what I would like to say is that just don't get involved in virtue signaling. That's number one. Build something of value and take risk. Like, you have to take risk. Everybody has to build their own business to learn how to be an independent person, to be able to think for yourself. We're living in a time in the world right now where so many young people, they're defenseless. And then this is turning them into NPCs, right? On the internet, that means non-playable character in a video game. When you're defenseless, you can't defend yourself financially, physically. You become very easy to control. And the only way you have is the only defense mechanism you have is to basically fall in line with whatever is going on, whatever is the new thing, right?
Yeah.
So we need more. If you're going to survive and thrive in this world, you need to have your own opinions and your own view of looking at the world. Peter Thiel liked to call this a secret. And I think we all have that. It's like, is this thing about there's something that you believe to be true that nobody else agree with you on, or they might just not even see that it's there. I think all of us have that. But it takes a lot of strength for you to be able to exemplify that or to execute it in the outside world. The world comes with so many pressures for you to conform, right? It might be that someone out there, their way to do it, they don't have to complete a university education. They have to drop out and do something. Yeah. But if you don't have the strength to do it, the mental strength to do it, you're just going to fall in line and do something that you know that maybe it's not even what you're trying to achieve, right? It can be anything as well. So taking risk, very important. And don't involve in virtue signaling.
No, that's a very powerful point. Thank you so much for joining us on the Fiz Show today.
No
this has been Cedric Chuuma with my guest Grey Jabesi. Thank you very much for tuning in.